leading into a fun one now, just based on the weakness weapon that we get to use against him.
Bubbles.
Yeah.
I love Bubbles.
The mightiest fist fighter beaten by the most fabulous Bubbles. Yeah.
He is all about punching, isn't he?
Yeah. Flame Stag is a really, really cool boss design, just in general.
I like him.
Also marks one of the few instances in the series that I can think of off the top of my head, if at all, where there's like a double up on naming type stuff, especially right in a row. So like, last game had Flame Mammoth, and this one has Flame Stag.
Also,
which is uncommon.
Great background art.
Yeah, this one's got really good background art and really cool level details. I really like traveling up on the... You guys called him Horny.
Yeah, the beetle.
The beetle mechanic. It's just really, really neat. Usually you would use them to break through the rocks. You'll see it a little bit later on. This is just Escape the Volcano, which I think...
pretty fucking tight.
Yeah, it's like, I thought I got hit by that. Usually I don't, but as I've said like a billion times this time around, like, just rushing and making some mistakes, but still doing pretty good.
I'm honestly a fan of a lot of the level design in this game overall. Like,
R.
Yeah. Like, none of the levels feel... Bye, Horny. None of them feel, like, bad.
Yeah, no, they're really cool. But yeah, so in this particular area, just pro tips or whatever for, again, the people that clearly don't know how to play the super old game is you have to break those rocks in order to get up there. You might be able to pull some bullshit with Crystal Hunter, but not that I'm aware of. But if the X-Hunter's in this area, you need to make sure it breaks that spot. And if you hit the bottom one, another one doesn't respawn. So basically it's like, oh, good job, Frank. He's shooting sword waves. I don't know if that'll show up in the final video or not. Currently for us, he's basically just like gesturing violently at me. But they should be giant crescents.
Yeah, we really need to record at 60 FPS.
Well, now we know.
Yeah,
especially for this particular case.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if it breaks those bottom rocks, another one won't respawn. You know, kind of a botched your run.
Agile's pattern is pretty boring.
Which, yeah, I like his attacks. I wish he weren't so easy to troll, basically. Like, he's got a really easy pattern to exploit. It's not that his attacks are boring, it's that you can make him do them too frequently.
Overall, I like his design except for his face and his shoulders.
I like the shoulders, I'm not a huge fan of his hat. But it's a little better, like you can kind of see it up there in the poster that I've got that obviously no one at home can see. But I like it in art. I don't think it translated super well to the sprites.
Yeah.
Woo!
Well, good thing Capture caught that.
Right? So now we've got the pants.
Like the one part that was actually missing at the last game.
Yep. Oh, right. This is the correct run. In the alternate video, I'm sure we make kind of a big deal about that, but the pants are a running joke in the other version of it. So for those of you who don't understand that, you're probably better off. But who knows? Maybe you like that kind of humor. And go click here. I don't know. Probably not.
Still lots of intricate backgrounds with glowing and shit.
Yeah.
God damn it, this is a pretty game.
And just like really cool use of the stage environment. I mentioned it in the other one, but separate. Is I used to think those were steam vents and they were going off randomly, but it took me forever to realize that it was the fire squirrels landing and igniting gas vents and stuff, which is just like super neat. But yeah, so he's a really fun fight without his weakness weapon. With his weakness weapon, it's almost a shame. Like he's one of the ones that you really trash with his weakness weapon, but is also entertaining enough without it, so it's kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. It's not like Spark Mandrill you can like really screw over, but he's not really that engaging of a fight to begin with, so it's kind of like, alright, whatever. Like, he's so big that he takes up most of his screen, so he never really has the opportunity to do much dynamic stuff, which kind of sucks because, you know, he'll do the dash punches. In this instance, he does, like, you know, he's almost the Sigma fight. The first Sigma fight from the first one. He does all kinds of really intricate special attacks and stuff. I don't remember if I do it intentionally in the refights in this one, but he'll do a flaming dash, And if he's in his desperation mode where the fire will turn blue, he'll like lift you up and then like smash you down into the ground with it, which he doesn't do normally. Not a lot of bosses do that kind of thing, which is really neat. And you get a really cool weapon out of him. I love Speedrunner. It has a lot of really cool detail and stuff attached to it too, which I might show off in this run, but like it'll leave fire trails along the ground, and if you shoot it underwater, it's just two metal balls that would be emitting the fire. And it's like got steam around it and everything. It's really neat.
I really like shit like that.
And then this one is leading just weakness chain, I think, at this point. I'm pretty sure I don't go out of order much after this. Like a moth to the flame. I really like everything about this level.
Deadbeat looters.
Yeah, there's broken down enemies from the first one. Is more or less the entire gimmick of this level. There's a particular enemy that'll show up that I'll point out and try to like name all the components of that shows up, I think, not explicitly in the stage, like here in the fortress stages. And then that's a spot that you would use the helmet to find if you didn't know to begin with, since there's like really no hint about it. But the helmet in this game is a radar, and it's like, I mentioned it in the other, but it's just like the X-ray visor in Super Metroid. It's like, it's really helpful, but once you know where everything is, you don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it isn't required to open them, it's just what shows them off. But this is a really important body capsule, in that it introduces one of the now series mainstay abilities, the Giga Crush, which is always, you take less damage because of the body part, and then you'll absorb projectile damage. I don't think it's any damage in this one. It's just shots, so like, you know, lasers or the trash balls. Anything that's a projectile, like those right there, would do it. That'll absorb into the ammo for the crush, so you can't fill it up with normal ammo or anything like that.
Is it actually good in this game? Like, it looks awesome, but...
It looks really cool. It's not that great. Like, there's very few instances where it matters. You can use it for a certain boss fight, which I do, so you will see that later on. But otherwise, it's supposed to be like, oh my god, there's so many enemies around, and like once you get to a certain skill level, it really doesn't matter that much.
This dude looks Get-A-Robo as fuck.
I can see that. Also, I'm using the wheel right now because I thought it was something that you and Brady discovered in a run-through that's in the shown off in the alternate version. It turns out that that is not the case, and you misled me, and I'm upset at that. I advise just using the bubbles on them. Which, again, I was like, maybe it was this. But
no, you just drop it on top of him as he comes out, and it kills him instantly.
Or you could be much smarter, just use bubbles, which will also do that, except you don't have to do any kind of extra timing stuff. You just kind of, like, shoot him with the bubbles, and then he ties. Which I'm pretty sure is, like, right now. He's just going to be like, yeah, fuck it. Which is really cool. The bubbles are basically Fire Wave in this game. They're not, or it's not as good, but Bubble Splash is up there for one of my favorites. The short-range weapons tend to end up really good. Not always in the later ones, but for the most part, it's a good rule of thumb.
I really like that parasite guy that jumped into the Get-A-Robo thing.
Yeah, it's a really awesome enemy or mechanic just in general.
Called like Pararoid or something?
Yeah,
like
I think that one is Pararoid R. It might be Pararoid S. Pararoid and then like a Moth letter. It's all based around those green ones there. I haven't had an opportunity to mention it yet, but oh, actually, I'll mention this here, which you kind of saw. Or no, I'll save it for the next mini-boss. So right here is the enemies that I was talking about earlier. It's made out of parts of enemies from X1 that don't appear anywhere else. So it's got the Piranha Blowfish, the spike wheels from the intro stage. Its shoulders are Metors, including the helmets. And then the heads are the Degravers, which I think are called something else.
Dig Labor.
Yeah, like Dig Labor or something. Which I think is really cool. Like, those individual enemies don't show up anywhere else, but they're like a conglomerate in the junkyard stage. And then, if you hadn't noticed already, which I'm sure you have, the stage has the garbage chutes, basically, like magnets or gravity or whatever you want to call it, that, you know, alter your jump height and suck stuff up, which is really cool. And then this is the type of area that you would want to use to get crushed in if you got overwhelmed for whatever reason.
Overwhelmed.
This is one of my favorites. Boop. It launches right into its face. And yeah, overwhelmed is in like, I can't shoot fast enough. Like, if you're just still learning, basically.
All these mooks! Oh, no! I really like this aspect of the boss where it's not at all what you see on the boss selection screen.
Yeah. Moth is really, really cool. I kind of wish more bosses in the series did this kind of thing. Not even just, like, the false negative at the start, or, like, the red herring, or whatever you want to call it. But just the transformation aspect is really, really neat. It also gives him the opportunity to go through, like, 2 pretty distinct attack patterns, which is really wild, because that's another thing that doesn't happen a lot until you get introduced to, like, desperation moves and stuff. Like, the really heavy, like, this is obviously a new phase, not like Flame Stag gets stronger and does, like, 1 extra attack. This is, like, a completely different battle now. I think the drawback, thinking about it, and also it's a really tall-ass room, I think I'm trying to, like...
Where's the top?
But, one thing that kind of sucks is that because it's split, it makes both of the patterns really kind of easy. Like, he only has, like, fly up, go down with glitter, shoot laser, repeat. And it's less AI than some of the other fights are, versus, like, it's very mechanical, which I guess is kind of insect-like, so that works out, I guess. But either way, I think it's a really creative thing. Especially, like, experimentation for the second game and everything like that.
Like, how can we break this shit up?
Expand. I guess it's kind of similar to, like, cutting off Octopus's arms, almost.
Kind of.
Not to the same degree. Also, I don't know if I've mentioned it yet. I might have. I apologize if I did. This is, like, my favorite weapon get screen in the X series. I really like it. It's got good music and everything. So, there's your closer. I'm good at closing videos.